While lawmakers in Washington debate criminal justice reform, South Carolina is already trying new approaches in sentencing some of our youngest offenders.
In fact, tonight we're going to take an in-depth look at how the state hopes to rehabilitate young offenders, some of whom are responsible for extremely serious crimes. It is happening right here in the Upstate. It's a sprawling campus in southern Greenville County. There are no fences, no gates. The doors are left unlocked. It has all the trappings of a summer camp or a boarding school where the staff treats the residents.
The more that I can understand the way a kid feels, I can understand how I can help that kid.
Like every boy here is a member of the family.
I want to treat them like my son because I want the best for my son. That means that I'll be doing the best for them.
From all outward appearances, a visitor at Generations Group Home would have no idea who these residents actually are, or that none of them chose to be here. Every one of these 65 or so boys was sent here after committing a sex crime.
We work with juvenile sex offenders. It could be anything from hands-off type sexual behaviors, exposing oneself, to any, molestation and up to rape type offenses.
They're often the type of crimes an adult offender would never escape, including punishment in prison and a lifetime as a registered sex offender. But because these boys range from 12 to 19 years old, the state of South Carolina has taken a starkly different approach. Usually 9 to 12 months here at this private, nonprofit group home.
When I first came here, I was a little anxious because I didn't know whether they were going to attack me or not, to be honest. But the more you treat a person like their family, and like you, their sister, their brother, whatever they need, the more they bond with you.
Pat Montgomery is a counselor here, so she spends an 8-hour shift taking a group of about a dozen boys from dorm to class or from therapy to shoot hoops.
You have to take on that mom and that teacher and that sister role all in one, because they need all of it.
There are a couple of incentives for the state to do it this way. For one thing, it's cheaper to send the offenders here than to keep them behind bars in Columbia, where each juvenile inmate costs taxpayers about $425 a day. The state spends about 70% less at Generations. And there is some evidence this approach may work better at preventing similar crimes once the residents are released.
How do we want the kids to behave? Do we want them to behave like responsible young men, children, or do we want them to behave like inmates?
Came a long way. Long way.
The theory here is that each juvenile offender is repeating a cycle of behavior. They come in angry. Most of them have been abused themselves.
Well, how do you see love and how do you see authority and how do you see a caregiver when that's a combination of that's who feeds me, that's who clothes me, but also that's who abuses me.
Parents that drank a lot and they laying on the couch while they're in there fixing supper for their little sisters and brothers, and they 11, 12 themselves. Being at home at night by themselves, not knowing whether their mom gonna come back or not knowing their father ever. All they know about him is that he's in jail or he's dead.
So, despite the sometimes terrible crimes they've committed, the resident inmates are given therapy. Their anger met with love.
How many decisions did you make as a 12-year-old that you feel like you should be held responsible for the rest of your life? If you had an opportunity to address those things and make changes.
In a majority of the kids, like, you see that light bulb go on. You see that they've made the connection, and they're just a different kid.
Generations claims the approach works. Executive Director Clark says they have a 98% success rate. That number is nearly impossible to independently verify because by law, the names of these residents are confidential. But based on the tracking done here, that 2% recidivism rate would be remarkable. Numbers released by the Department of Juvenile Justice show juveniles housed behind bars are 8 times more likely to reoffend.
What I'm really trying to work on is like being a video game designer, probably going to college.
So it's not a summer camp and nobody would choose to be here, but this unusual approach may mean this is as close to prison as any of these boys ever get.
I had one call me and say, I'm in college now. I'm like, he's in college and he's 21 and I knew him when he was 15 and I'm just so proud of him.
Now, look, I've been to that facility a couple of times now, and I always have the same concerns and questions that I bet a lot of you have right now. What about the victims? Real, innocent people who have been seriously hurt by some of these boys. Shouldn't the boys be punished for what they've done? Well, the idea at Generations is that by breaking the cycle of abuse, they honor the previous victims by making sure there are fewer sex crimes in the future.